Imagine a soldier, alone, fighting a war that for everyone else had ended almost 30 years ago. This isn't a movie plot. This is the incredible true story of Hiru Onoda, a Japanese intelligence officer who refused to believe World War II was over. His story is a powerful testament to duty, endurance, and the sheer power of the human will. Our story begins in December 1944. A 22-year-old second lieutenant, Hiru Onoda, is dispatched to the small, jungle-covered island of Lubang in the Philippines. His mission is clear: disrupt enemy operations, destroy the airfield and pier, and under no circumstances surrender or take his own life. His commanding officer, Major Yoshimi Taniguchi, gave him a final, fateful order. It may take 3 years, it may take 5, but whatever happens, we'll come back for you. Until then, so long as you have one soldier, you are to continue to lead him. You may have to live on coconuts. If that's the case, live on coconuts. Under no circumstances are you to give up your life voluntarily. Just 2 months later, in February 1945, Allied forces landed on Lubang. The Japanese garrison was quickly overwhelmed. Onoda and 3 other soldiers, Corporal Shoichi Shimada, Private Kinshichi Kozuka, and Private Yuchi Akatsu, retreated into the dense, mountainous jungle. This was the beginning of a guerrilla war that would last for decades, a war that existed only for them. They survived by foraging for bananas, coconuts, and whatever else the jungle provided. They occasionally raided local farms for food, which led to skirmishes with the local Filipino population and police. For Onoda and his men, these were not civilians. They were enemy collaborators. In their minds, the war was still raging. In October 1945, they found a leaflet. It read, "The war ended on August 15th. Come down from the mountains." They studied it intensely. The leaflet seemed authentic, but Onoda was a trained intelligence officer. He knew all about propaganda and psychological warfare. Could this be a trick, a clever ruse by the enemy to lure them out? He and his men decided it was. They concluded that Japan would never surrender so easily. They would continue their mission. Over the next few years, more leaflets were dropped. Newspapers were left behind. Letters and photographs from their own families were scattered from aircraft, pleading with them to come home. Each time, Onoda's group found a reason to disbelieve. They would analyze every detail, searching for inconsistencies. A phrase that seemed too American, a photo that looked doctored. They convinced themselves it was all part of an elaborate enemy plot. Their commitment to their mission, their unwavering belief in their orders, had created a reality bubble that no outside information could penetrate. Life in the jungle was a constant struggle. They battled malnutrition, tropical diseases, and the ever-present danger of discovery. Their uniforms rotted away, replaced by clothes patched together from whatever they could find. They maintained their rifles with meticulous care, their only link to the duty they swore to uphold. The group began to fracture. In 1949, after 4 years in the jungle, Private Akatsu had had enough. He wandered away from the group and, after 6 months of surviving alone, surrendered to Filipino forces. To Onoda, this was a security risk. Akatsu might reveal their positions and tactics. They became even more cautious, retreating deeper into the unforgiving wilderness. 5 years later, in 1954, tragedy struck. Corporal Shimada was shot and killed during a clash with a local search party. Now only to remain Onoda and Private Kozuka. For the next 18 years, these 2 men continued their lonely war. They were a team bound by a shared, unshakable conviction. They monitored military movements, planned phantom attacks, and kept their skills sharp, always ready for the day the Japanese Imperial Army would return to retake the island. They were soldiers waiting for a battle that would never come. The world outside changed dramatically. Japan transformed from a wartime empire into a peaceful, economic powerhouse. Men walked on the moon. But in the jungles of Lubang, time stood still, locked in 1945. Then, in October 1972, the unthinkable happened. While on a raid to burn rice collected by farmers, an act of sabotage in their mines, Kozuka was killed by local police. Onoda was now completely alone. For the first time in 27 years, he had no one to share his convictions with, no one to reinforce his reality. But his resolve did not break. He was the last soldier. His commander's words echoed in his mind. So long as you have one soldier, you are to continue to lead him. Now he was leading only himself. News of Kozuka's death and the recovery of his body, confirmed to be a World War II soldier, caused a sensation in Japan. It confirmed that Onoda was likely still alive. Search parties were sent, but Onoda, now a master of jungle evasion, remained a ghost. The man who finally found him was not a soldier or a policeman, but a young Japanese university dropout and adventurer named Norio Suzuki. Suzuki had a quirky life list. He wanted to find Lieutenant Onoda, a panda, and the abominable snowman, in that order. In February 1974, he traveled to Lubang and did what no one else had managed to do. He simply set up camp and called out Onoda's name. To Suzuki's astonishment, a man emerged from the trees. It was Hiru Onoda, still wearing his tattered uniform, his rifle still in hand. He was wary, suspicious, but Suzuki approached him with respect and sincerity. They talked for hours. Suzuki told him about the modern world, about Japan's prosperity, and that the emperor himself had declared the war over. Onoda listened, but he was still bound by his duty. He told Suzuki, "I am a soldier, and I remain true to my duties. I will not surrender until I receive a formal order from my superior officer." Suzuki returned to Japan with this incredible news and a photograph of himself with Onoda. The Japanese government scrambled to locate Onoda's commanding officer, Major Taniguchi, who had long since left the army and was now working as a bookseller. In March 1974, the old major, now a civilian, flew to Lubang. He walked to a prearranged meeting spot, wearing his old military uniform. There, he met Lieutenant Onoda, who stood at attention, ready to receive his final command. Major Taniguchi formally read the orders from Imperial General Headquarters, relieving Onoda of all his duties. For Hiru Onoda, after 29 years, the war was finally over. He surrendered his rifle, his sword, and his remaining ammunition. He had faithfully carried out his mission. He had outlasted the impossible. When he returned to Japan, he was greeted as a hero, a symbol of a bygone era of discipline and loyalty. But Onoda struggled to adapt to the modern world he didn't recognize. He eventually moved to Brazil to run a cattle ranch, finding peace in the wide-open spaces. He later returned to Japan to establish nature camps for children, teaching them the survival skills he had learned during his long years in the jungle. Hiru Onoda's story is more than just a tale of survival. It's a profound look at the nature of belief, the power of duty, and how a person's reality can be shaped by a single, powerful idea. He was a man who, through an extraordinary force of will, kept a war alive long after the world had moved on. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible stories from history. We'd love to have you as part of our community. See you in the next one.